You know, some stories are more than just a headline. They hit a nerve. This is one of those stories. It's not just about a tragedy. It's about what that tragedy exposed, a deep, painful crack in the public's trust. And it all starts with a few devastating, undeniable facts. First, and let's just start here because it's the heart of everything, a 6-year-old girl lost her life. That's the awful reality this whole thing is built on. And then there's the second piece. The person suspected of causing this crash wasn't just anybody. It was a police officer, someone who was supposed to represent safety and the law. And third, there's this number, 242,240 hryvnias. Remember this number. It's the amount of bail that was paid. Which brings us to the final fact, the one that really lit the fuse on public anger. After that sum was paid, the officer was released from custody. A child is gone, and the suspect walks free. That's the tension we need to unpack. Okay, so to really get why this case became such a lightning rod, we need to walk through exactly what happened. Let's lay out the undisputed facts. So, according to Ukraine's Prosecutor General's Office, this all went down on December 10th, 2025, in the city of Pryluky. A police vehicle strikes people at a crosswalk. The outcome is just catastrophic. The 6-year-old girl dies from her injuries, and her mom ends up in the hospital. Right away, a criminal case is opened for traffic safety violations that led to a death. And now we get to the part of the story that turned this from a horrible local tragedy into a full-blown national debate. It wasn't about the crash itself anymore. It was about what the court did next. Now, let's get one thing straight. Legally speaking, what is bail? Well, it's a totally standard tool in the justice system. It lets the suspect go home while the investigation is still going on. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it is not a verdict. It doesn't mean they're innocent. It's just a step in the process. But here's the massive disconnect, right? On one hand, you have the legal system saying, hey, this is just a procedural tool. But from the public's point of view, especially in a case this emotional, it looks like something totally different. It feels like freedom has a price tag. Like if you have enough money, you can just buy your way out of a cell. And here's exactly how it played out. The court says, okay, detention, but you have the right to post bail. The amount is set, the money gets paid, and boom, the officer is released. Now, the prosecutors did say they were going to appeal this, but by then, the damage to public perception was already done. So to be super clear and fair here, it's so important to separate what we actually know for sure from what's still being investigated. This isn't about deciding guilt or innocence right now. It's about understanding why people reacted the way they did to the facts we have. Let's look at this table. In that confirmed column, we've got the hard facts. The date, the place. A police vehicle was involved, a child tragically died, the specific charge, and of course that bail was set and paid. But then look at the other side. Awaiting trial. We still don't know things like the exact speed of the car or, and this is the big one, the final court verdict. That part of the story hasn't been written yet. And this is where we need to zoom out, because this whole thing is so much bigger than just one case in Pryluky. It's about what happens to a whole country, especially one fighting a war, when the idea of equal justice starts to feel like a lie. This quote? This just nails the feeling, doesn't it? When people see an official get released on bail after something so devastating, they don't see legal procedure. They see proof of what they've always suspected, that there's one set of rules for them and another, easier set of rules for insiders. And I want you to think about this question for a second. When a nation is in crisis, trust in its own government and its institutions, that's not some nice to have. It's essential. It's like oxygen. You need it to survive. And when it starts running out, everything starts to fall apart. And look, this isn't just an abstract idea. It's a dangerous downward spiral. First, people just stop cooperating. Then, they stop bothering to report crimes at all, because what's the point? Then, that frustration turns into real anger, maybe even hatred. And before you know it, the whole social fabric that holds a country together starts to tear. So if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? How does a system even begin to rebuild that kind of broken trust? Well, it's going to take a lot more than just promises. It's going to take real, visible action. Real accountability might look something like this. Courts actually explaining why they made a bail decision, especially in a huge case like this. The people in charge giving faster, regular updates on the investigation. And here's the big one. Making sure there are real consequences for negligence, no matter who you are or what uniform you wear. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this. If accountability is just optional, then justice stops being a right for everyone. It just becomes another product in a marketplace, available only to those who can afford it. And we'll just end on this thought. The reason the Pryluky case became such a powerful symbol is because it showed in the most painful way imaginable just how fast trust can die. When people believe that money can open doors that a family's grief and a society's demand for fairness simply cannot.